not making a selfie. I'm recording what we have in class. Here. Yeah, we have very weak signal in this room. Most likely, it's because we have these booths, very thick metal stuff, block signal out. Has anyone successfully connected your start device to the internet?
No.
You have? Yes, strange. Always some people can access internet while others cannot. That makes sense. So you can't. You can't.
I can.
You can?
Yeah.
Because you're close to the window.
Yeah,
so you need to sit near the exit or the window. Good, so we can start now. Very welcome. This is an official welcome. Previous welcomes were not official. This is official. Our future interpreters, politicians, CEOs, diplomats, educators, president candidates, and many more. Do you feel flattered? Good. Now, why I say this, why I put this in the first slide, is because I want to break a myth. The myth that people think and normally tell other people when they are asked what you want to be after this program, they say, I want to be a professional interpreter or translator. You should think wider, bigger than that. So in this 1 year or 2 years, you need to quickly acquire many skills so that in the future you don't limit yourself to working in a small office typing. You can do more than that. I have other myths to break as well. So in your maybe your handbook or your ID card, it says MA, TNI, and maybe a little bracket, PGT. You will see PGT somewhere, you will. So the myth I want to break is the distinction between PGT and PGR. What is PGR?
Research.
Postgrad degree by research, and the other is taught degree. What's the difference? Can you tell me the difference?
If I want to achieve the doctor degree, then I have to take the first step of being a PhD candidate, and then I can take a doctor degree for 4 to 5 years. So this is the PGR's function. The first one, PGT, is mainly for the work, more for the profession. After 1 or 2 years learning, examination do count.
Yeah, that's right. But that's the definition, the difference in their definition or in program description. The myth I want to break here is the mindset. Before a student becomes a PGR student, he or she has to propose a project that he or she is going to complete in 1 year. You did not. You make a statement, right? But a very misleading idea or concept is that in PGT program, you're going to rely on your lecturers. Your lecturers will tell you, will teach you, will give you everything you need to know. Whereas in PGR, you need to make efforts in getting the knowledge and the skills on your own. And I don't like this distinction. And certainly you shouldn't have this mindset. I think you should see yourself as a PGR as well. Because in fact, in all your modules, you need to do research. You need to do research in order to give a talk or to interpret for a talk. This talk can be somebody's talk in the internet or even your classmates' talk. So you are doing research. You will take research modules in translation studies, in research methodology as your compulsory modules. So you need to have a mindset like a PGR student and ignore PGT. And secondly, strengths. I come up with this because in my tutorial I noticed that some people are not very confident. Even if they have made their way into this program, they should feel proud, they should feel confident, but some of them are not, or are not confident enough. Because they say, I didn't have any professional experience in translating weeks or interpreting, but some of my classmates had. Every year this happens, but I always reassure those who are less experienced that you didn't know your strengths until you give your first talk, until you interpret for your first talk. So you will find your strengths when you do it. And I'm sure you will catch up very quickly with those who had experience. When I went to Bath to do my MA TNI, I claimed that I had experience. But as opposed to other people's experience, I only had one consecutive interpreting experience for 3 days, whole day. So, you can claim you have experience even if you only have one assignment. So, sooner or later, you can tell people I have experience. You just didn't know your strengths yet. Okay, after breaking myth, I'm going to tell you what this module is about very quickly. First of all, you have 12 teaching weeks in semester 1, and in this semester I will give you a very systematic way of approaching CI and of building some skill sets for CI. In semester 2, you are going to have mini mock conferences in class. So every week you are going to have a topic, and then you guys will rotate in the roles you play. So some people will be speakers, others will be interpreters. At the end of, not the end, the week before the Easter holiday, you are going to have a mock conference. That's the most official setting for your practice. So in that conference, normally people will be dressed up a little bit. and try to use that occasion to showcase what they learn and to reveal the areas for improvement. Also find your strengths. About teaching. Those semesters I'll be teaching you, but in week 5 and from 8 to 10 next semester you are going to have visiting lecturers with you. Week 5, Patron. Week 8 to 10 will be Jane. They were both our graduates. And groups. You're already in different groups, but in this group I am going to divide you further into smaller groups. Maybe a group of 3, maybe a group of 4, but these are study groups, so you guys will need to practice in your own time, and I think practice is more efficient and more effective if you have people to monitor you. And also I need a group rep. This group rep helped me with some admin operation. For example, if I need personal information, I will need this rep to gather them for me. If I need to prepare for an event, this rep is going to help me organize part of it. This rep is not going to have tons of tasks, so don't worry. At the end of this class I'm going to ask whether any of you want to volunteer. So think about it. And I will send out a template for this rep to collect information for me. About teaching, what I'm showing here is a very complicated plot about my teaching philosophy. So here are skills that you need to acquire, you want to acquire. These are knowledge you need to develop, you need to build. And these are some skills, other skills that integrate your knowledge and skills. And this side shows the support that we give you. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. Another welcome. See how welcome you are. Right, so skills. You already have some good skills, very strong linguistic skills to start with, otherwise you won't be here. But we are talking about other skills that you might not have yet. So for example, your personal skills in presentation, in doing research, your interpersonal skills in working in a team. So I'm talking about teamwork and your work ethic. So these are the skills that I want to help you acquire. Knowledge, you have good world knowledge, good enough for you to pass the selection phase. But now, to become a competent interpreter or translator, you need to be highly acutely aware of culture and society around you. and you want to have discipline-related knowledge, so that you can specialize in maybe in one topic quickly in the future. So you need to have a quality, personality quality, and that is you need to be very, very curious. You want to be interested in as many topics as you want, so that you can know more world knowledge, and you can be prepared for different kind of topics. While you are developing skills and knowledge, you need to evaluate what you have, what you have not. So at the end, you need to be able to apply your skills and your knowledge to the tasks. For example, your site translation, your SI, your CI, and so on. And we are here to help you achieve the tasks. So you will have feedback, not just from me, but from your classmates. You are going to have support for you to complete all sorts of tasks through, for example, e-learning. That's why you get so many. That's right. And they are useful for these. So i4Life is a dedicated website that I and Takehiro created in summer. Dedicated website for you, not for those in previous years. We will use other tools as well, MB and GT. I'll talk about them later on. Very important component in this model is teamwork. I will divide you further into smaller groups, but I will need your help. What kind of help? I will try to make a profile of your personality traits, so that I can get to know you better, you know yourself better. And with that information, I can divide you into better groups than if I put you in random groups. These lines are a metaphor for interpersonal support. So imagine that you are these. You need to cling on the rope so you don't fall. If you fall, people can help you, can give you a helping hand. So the support between you is like this rope. Now what you need to do is to have a very healthy mindset, that is autonomous learning. Have you heard this word before?
Autonomous region.
Yes. Autonomy. So what does this mean? By yourself. In what way? Spontaneous.
Act on your own initiative.
Initiatives. So this is the kind of mindset that I want you to relate to, this PGR mindset. You need to think, you need to plan for yourselves. Of course, you can always come to me and ask me whether this makes sense or not. But you need to take initiative. So you need to be an independent thinker. You need to be proactive, take initiative, and you need to be hungry about the knowledge and skills that we introduce into your program, and also what happens around you. And all these attributes are easier for you to get if you work together. It will be more fun and you will learn faster. But one thing to avoid is that you don't confuse and burden yourself, especially at the beginning of your program. Normally people will have many dreams and many goals that they set for themselves in the first year. But if you set yourself many goals, you probably will lose your track. So try to focus on one or two. One thing you need to bear in mind is that you need to be realistic in setting your goal and true to yourself, and we take one step at a time. Ultimately, I want you to become an autonomous learner and in the future a leader in whatever you do. This is a key word that you want to bear in mind. So that's how you should learn, and one thing you want to pay particular attention to is culture and society. So it's a bigger and wider context around your program. I remember that our former head of school, she said, don't just observe, but also integrate into this society. I know it's easier said than done, but you need to make effort. So I will send you a link for you to test yourself how much you know about Britain or British culture. And at the end of the test, I think it will show a grade or how British you are. And we can run the test again when you complete your degree. So all in this boils down to how you evaluate yourself. This is why we prepare you with some of the devices, websites and tools. So let's start from here, the bottom. How do you evaluate yourself? And why do we want to evaluate ourselves? Because we are here to learn skills, and we want to know whether or not we have learned required skills. So you and I, we both need to keep an eye on how you get on. And how do we do that? Not only I am interested in your progress, your future potential employer will be interested too. The largest hurdle that most graduates have to face is how do they sell themselves to employers? How do they get their first job, their first assignment? If you only consider and think about that question when you finish your degree, it's normally too late. So you need to monitor yourself, and we have a very good tool for you to do that. In the past, I asked students to keep diary on Blackboard. You heard about Blackboard, right? Have you used it? Yeah? Timetable. Yeah. In the past, I saw that okay, it does reasonably good in some aspects, but not others. So previous students, they keep the diary on Blackboard. Now I ask you to keep your diary in your own site. And without diary, you will realize that your 1 year or half year is like hangover. So I'm going to set you all up for the next 1 year. Have you seen this before? If you no, if you visit the website I for Life, you probably will come across this in the slider. Now, to set you up, I'm going to give you profile and identity. So what profile? It's your personality profile. So in the next few weeks, you're going to get questionnaires for you to fill, and after you return your questionnaire, I'll return you the score. And I'll give you a distribution of the scores and where you sit in which band in a way. So that's personality profile. About your identity, it's digital identity or IT identity. You get this identity by creating your own site. And your own site will be sitting under this main site, I for Life Academy. You will have other digital identity as well, because you are going to use VoiceThread, you're going to use NB, you're going to use SmartPen. Let's talk about this website. What's so special about it, why I'm bragging about this. Because first of all, although I know that you must be blogging in one way or another, you use Weixin or Weibo, so that's blog. But this blog is different from that one because it has a very special purpose. And I want you to put stuff in that is related to your life here, related to what you learn. So I want to give you that space for you to develop on your own. You can work, you can relax and call it home. You need to develop and maintain your own site with our assistance, of course, so that you can keep an eye on what happens across the network. By network, each of the dots here is your website, and you are all linked up. It's a network. It's not Facebook, it's more than that. So what can you do with it? At the beginning, you will be able to see posts, blogs in the main site, so that's my site, and your own site. But later, in the future, I will let you decide whether you want to make your blog public, or even your blog is public. Which blogs entry, which posts are public, which are private. It's all very easy to set those privacy. Because imagine that when you near your graduation, you are applying for jobs. Your employers are interested in what you did in your degree. If you haven't got any real world experience in interpreting or translating, then you need to supply evidence that you have solid training. You have done so many practices, so you can use your blog to showcase yourself. I'll use one example to show you how you do it. Although you guys cannot see each other's blog or site at the beginning, you certainly can use this function activity to share your life, share your thoughts, share the link that you think is interesting to many other people. I'll show you in a minute as well. I'm going to use one site to demonstrate. So this site is called Dreamer. So your site is iforlife.academy/ and your domain name. You can decide whatever you like to call it. So maybe you can start thinking about it now. This site is called Dreamer. So how did Mommy Cat start her own site? She is my landlord's cat. She's sort of mine as well. She did not need to ask because it's already built for you. All you need to do is to use your login detail, and then you register a new site. Why does she need it? Why do you need it? Because you need to do something. For example, you need to keep a weekly learning diary. So in this post, weekly post, you need to tell me at least what you learned this week. Is there any trouble? Is there any problem that you need assistance? Secondly, you need to post your assignment. How do you post your assignments? I'll tell you in a minute. And thirdly, anything else that might end up in a book. Perhaps in the future you decide you want to publish a book about your experience abroad in Newcastle. Finally, you want to attract future employers' attention. So it's very easy to do, because if you have a LinkedIn account, if you have maybe Facebook account, you can add that link to your site so that when people know your LinkedIn account, they can see your site because they are linked up. So I'm going to show you her site now. Okay, you notice that this appears. Click to continue to become a member of this site. What that shows is people outside cannot access your blog if he or she is not authorized. So I click to continue. This is someone else's site, so I need to log out. So Dreamer. Now this is the main site, or my site. But if you hover your mouse here, you will see two sites. One, i4life, the main site, and the other is the Dreamer site. So this is, you can imagine that this is your own site. Yep, that's it. So in this site, I'm going to show you what you can do with it. The first post here, private. Saw someone with someone else. Why there's a private there? Yeah, that's it. Other people without enough privilege won't be able to see it. So when you post a blog entry, you can choose to publish it privately or publicly. By going through each of the posts, I want you to know some basic about this blogging. In your blog post, you can put in some text, some message, but it's very easy for you to put in photos and videos. So if you like to take selfie, you can put your own your picture, or if you have videos, it's very easy to do. I'm going to show you how to do it. You click Edit. That's when you want to change something in a post. So here you can see that this picture is already here in your editing interface. If you don't like this, you can remove it. If you want to change the size, it's easy enough to do. The video is a little bit different because it's a link, it's not a player. So how do we do this? We need to go here, Add Media. So in your media library, you can add anything you want to your post. If you have a link, YouTube link, you can just paste the link. Then your post will show the video clip. So once you made a change, you can simply click Update. And then you can view your post. Then you can see that your picture is smaller. So it's very easy to add multimedia into your post. What else? You can put in multimedia from different sources. For example, this one from different sources and in different file formats. This is a FLV file. So this is different from the YouTube clip. That shows that this blog is very flexible with the kind of information you feed it. So there's very few types of files that you cannot add to your blog. So it's good to know. You can simply share a link by pasting a link here. If I ask you to insert or embed a PDF file or Word file or any Office file, it's easy enough to do as well. So for example, I insert a PDF here. And what's good about this is that you can enlarge it in the reader. You can click that to have full screen view. That is another PDF file. I'm going to skip it. You can upload an MP3 file and put it into your post as well. So for example, you make a recording of your own and you want to show me your audio file. VT. So VT, I want you to use VT to complete your assignments. But you need to show it here. I will tell you how. So after you link this up, I can see your VT recording and make my comments. You can embed other players, for example SoundCloud. So there's a lot of possibility with this block. If you have come across anything that you find it difficult to insert or to embed, please let me know. Is there any questions so far? Okay. What I want to do next is to ask a volunteer to help me do a demo, because I think many of you have not registered a new site, right? No? So I'm going to log out and ask a volunteer to log in with your detail. Any volunteer?
Okay, I can have a try.
You can have a try, okay.
So the username is my full email.
Yeah. Just the part before the ads.
Part.
Before the ads. Everything before, yeah. And then this, the password you get is a temporary one. You need to change it. Now it's interpreter for life. Hold on. Interpreter.
But I have changed it.
Oh, you already changed it.
Yes.
You need to have a password you can remember. You
Interpreter.
No,
The
you said you.
original password.
But you changed it, so the original won't work.
But it doesn't work. I don't know why.
It doesn't register your key press. I think the second one. So can you type your password slower?
Yes.
And make sure that it registers. So one by one. No?
Sorry.
It's okay. Maybe you want to
another volunteer.
Yes. The keyboard is a bit quirky. Different from yours, so maybe that's why. There. Excellent.
Yeah.
Have you created your own sites?
I don't think so.
You don't think so? Okay. So when you log in with your detail, you will see this. The next thing is hover your mouse here. And then sites. create a site. Very easy. And here you decide the domain name.
Yeah.
Can be your name, yeah. Okay, and next is your site title. You probably want to make it more catchy so that people can remember it. But I'm sure you can change it later on. That's very catchy. Now it's privacy setting. I want you to set it by clicking this one. Currently, I am the only one who sees your site, and then later on we can change it, and then click Create Site. Something wrong? Clear.
I think only lowercase is less.
Oh, lower, yeah, good. Let's see. Well spot. Thank you. So that's it. You have your own site. Now you go back there, go into your site. That's the default site. Which doesn't look that impressive. But what you will like about this site is you can do a lot with it. For example, you don't like this theme or this skin, you simply go to here and you can select the theme you like. For example, so that's the default, this one. But you can select other themes. So, for example, if you like this one, you simply activate it and then go back. And that's your theme. So in due course we will implement more themes for you to choose from and make your theme more unique. And with this you are all set up for your blogging. So if you want to start blogging, simply go here and post. Give it a title if you want to try it. Good. And then perhaps some information. Like that. And then you can add photo or any other thing by adding media. So I hope you can play around with it and to explore it, and then you can publish it. But you will notice that there are some settings here. First is status. If it's drafts, then so with that you can save a draft if you haven't decided whether or not you want to make it public. Visibility, you have a few options there. You can choose public, password protected, or private. If you don't want other people to see it, you can click private. Okay, then you publish it. And then you can click view post. Then there it is. So when I see this, or any blog, I can leave a comment here, and you will see my comments. The other thing I want to mention is, when you create your own site, you will see two sites. If you hover your mouse here, my sites. i4Life is the main site, and this is your site. If you go to i4Life, you will be able to see the information I want you to see. For example, academic year term dates, CI1 syllabus. If you click it, you will see the syllabus here. Takes some time to parse the code. If I need you to fill a questionnaire, you can see the questionnaire here, but the way that you finish the questionnaire is to download it by clicking here, finish it, and email me. So this makes everything more efficient. And academic term dates, which is very important with planning your travel or anything. You will see this here. So everything in one shot. That's the idea. You will notice that there are some menus up here, activity, members, and stuff. In activity, that's the area that you can. That's the area where everything that you write will be seen by everyone in this network. So it's different from your own post. People may not read everything in your post, but if you put something here, everybody will see it. Members, it shows you everyone, your classmates here. If you click, for example, this one, you will see some profile information here, but you cannot visit the site. Members block, now you only have two. That's because you are not added as user to those sites. So to other sites, I mean, you are a user of those sites, but not other sites. So you can visit sites of these. For example, Utopia is another testing site. And these CHN 1715, 1716 are the pages that in the future I will show your assignment every week. About and contact. So normal stuff in a blog. We go back to the front page. In the slider, you see here, are the information that may be most important. So I put there to catch your attention. So sometimes a tip. Underneath the slider are 3 columns. I probably will reduce 3 to 2 columns because this part shows recent network-wide posts. Again, you are not able to see the post content, but you can see the title and who posted it. In the second central column are the information I want to show you. And normally I only show very important ones. Notification is a column that I want to slash. So you in the future you only see 2 columns. At the bottom here, you see this is a widget. Widget is a device that can show some very special function, for example, to show you the calendar, event calendar. And this event calendar is the Insight lectures. I don't know whether you heard of this. So these are the free lectures that you can go to, and I really encourage you to go to those. Unfortunately, for some reason, these are not in chronological order. So you see the December 1st as the first item, and October 2nd. So I'm going to try to fix that. These are the basic of this website. So you have a main site, you have your own site, and I want you to develop your site as if it's your home, your flat, your So you're ready to blog. Any question?
Is there any mobile applications about this blog?
You can use your mobile phone, you can use tablet to blog.
So I just surf the internet.
On any connected device, you can edit your blog. You can try it when you go home.
The audio clips, is it only for MP3 formats or is it open to other formats too?
I'm sure that most popular ones are accepted. I've tried WMV. It's not. And WMV anyway, it's not a very advanced one, so avoid using that one. MP4 is okay. And I want you to start blogging and exploring your sites as hard as you can, so that we can find our problems and fix them. You got any question? No?
Can I head back to mine?
Yes, please. Okay, log out. Good. So what happens next? We've covered that. We covered that. Now, so I'm going to start today's CL1, session 1. And I'm going to ask this question again. How many of you have had experience in interpreting or translating?
Only 1 or 2 assignments.
Only 1 or 2, more than I had. So that's fine. But this is the first argument I'm going to make. Becoming a good interpreter, you need to be a good speaker first. How do you agree with that? Why? You are all nodding. Is it just so self-evident? So if I put it another way, what's the benefit of being a good speaker before you are a good interpreter? Yeah. Convey the important message. Yeah. So since you all agree, then we'll go on. In the first 3 weeks, I see this as a small project. I'm going to tell you and practice how do you deliver a good speech. We'll look at the structures, how to start, how to organize your thoughts, and how do you end your speech with some impact. We also will mention styles in your speech, because every speech has a different purpose and different focus. So whether it's formal, informal, whether the message there is personal or is less personal. you will notice that in every speech, the purpose is different. It may be informative, it may be used to persuade people. For example, in a election campaign. It may be used to introduce a new concept, to challenge people. Or people use a speech to accept an honor, an award, and maybe they use a speech to express goodwill, to pay tribute to many. So in the first lecture, I want to talk about structure, and I want to focus on the beginning of a speech. So put yourself in the shoes of speakers. And why should we care about the beginning of a speech?
Catch attention.
Catch attention. That's right.
Let people know what you're going to talk.
People know what they expect. And so put it another way, what do you as a speaker want to do with your first, the beginning, maybe the first 1 or 2 minutes? Greetings. Greetings. Cheer them up.
Want to put yourself in maybe a starting point so you know how to fluently structure your speech.
Yeah, speakers will be nervous. So you want to put yourself at ease with some what? Jokes? Yes.
Relax yourself and also the audience.
Yeah. Relax yourself so that your audience will feel more relaxed too. So, as a speaker, but as an interpreter, why should you care about the beginning of speech? Or what can you get from the first 1 or 2 minutes?
Have a rough idea about the speaker's accent, style, and what to expect.
Yeah, pretty much everything. Good. In psycholinguistics, they talk about alignment between conversants in a conversation. So in the conversation, me and you, we recycle the words we use. We repeat the same word. We even use the same syntactic structure. In this scenario of interpretation, interpreter also need to align with your speaker. So in the first 1 or 2 minutes, like you said, you want to get style, accent, some clues about what's coming next. So you need to make the most out of it. That's why I want you to be a good speaker to begin with. If you are a good speaker, you can think like a speaker when you need to interpret for them. And how do you become a good speaker? You need to expose yourself to as many as possible, so that you can learn as many ways to start a speech as possible, so you never get a surprise when people use a joke. Oh, that's old joke, that's old trick. If people use a quotation, that's not a new trick. So you are more prepared and you are less likely to get panic. In the next few minutes, I'm going to play a few clips. And after each clip, I'm going to ask you to tell us what this speaker was doing there. What was he trying to do or she trying to do?
Thank you so much, Chris, and it's truly a great honor to have the opportunity to come to this stage twice. I'm extremely grateful. I have been blown away by this conference, and I want to thank all of you for the many nice comments about what I had to say the other night. And I say that sincerely, partly because I need that.
So what was he trying to do?
You mentioned some comments about the design.
Yeah.
About how and why he needed that.
Yeah. Did you hear the word grateful? So it's very common for a speaker to show express their gratitude for the opportunity. And there's of course more than that. You heard the reason why, and also why he needs. Oh, sorry. Second one.
It feels like we're all suffering from information overload or data glut, and the good news is there might be an easy solution to that, and that's using our eyes more. So visualizing information so that we can see the patterns and connections that matter, and then designing that information so it makes more sense, or it tells a story, or allows us to focus only on the information that's important.
How did it start it? Introduction. The main clue. Yeah. How did he introduce his topic?
Introducing
A problem, and followed by solution. And you'll notice that I got many examples from TED. So maybe some of these are less typical of the speeches that you are going to interpret for in future, because TED is a very special format. Has a very special format. You got only 50 minutes, so more than often you need to get to the point very quickly. You don't have time to waste. But this problem solution is a very common way to start a speech.
What I'd like to do is just drag us all down into the gutter, and actually all the way down into the sewer, because I want to talk about diarrhea. And in particular, I want to talk about the design of diarrhea. And when evolutionary biologists talk about design, they really mean design by natural selection. And that brings me to the title of the talk, Using Evolution to Design Disease Organisms Intelligently. And I also have a little bit of a sort of smart-ass subtitle to this. But I'm not just doing this to be cute. I really think that this subtitle explains what somebody like me, who's sort of a Darwin wannabe, how they actually look at one's role in sort of coming into this field of health sciences and medicine. It's really not a very friendly field for evolutionary biologists. You actually see a great potential, but you see a lot of people who are sort of defending their turf and may actually be very resistant to resistant when one tries to introduce ideas. So, although the talk today is going to deal with two general questions. One is why are some disease organisms more harmful? And a very closely related question, which is how can we take control of this situation once we understand the answer to the first question? How can we make the harmful organisms more?
He's very chatty, isn't he? So how did he start it? Joke?
Make a brief outline.
Brief outline, yeah.
Ask two questions.
Ask three questions. But he contextualized these questions very well by adding in lots of information, even his complaint about the unfriendly area of study and of research. So it's very interesting. that someone first complain how challenging this area is, how much resistance he has encountered. So you often will see that a speaker will use not just one, but a combination of different ways to start a speech. So he uses a metaphor, the sewer, take us all down to the sewer. Diarrhea, a little bit of humor there. So as an accomplished speaker, you probably will have too many sources of information that you can put together to start your speech, but you need to make it sound very coherent rather than too fragmental.
Today, we're not just announcing a new government and new ministers, we are announcing a new politics. A new politics where the national interest is more important than the party interest. Where cooperation wins out over confrontation. Where compromise, where give and take, where reasonable, civilized, grown-up behavior is not a sign of weakness, but a sign of strength. One of the biggest problems of the last few years has been a chronic short-termism in government. With this coalition government and this coalition agreement we have for 5 years, we can act for the long term and make the big decisions about our country's future.
You must be very familiar with him. He's not happy recently. I think at least there are 2 of Tory MPs have defected to UKIP. So these are, you need to be updated about the news. But how did he start it? Comparison. Comparison of yeah, because this is a new government, a coalition government. He's trying to contrast their vision and maybe the previous governments. So he makes promises, right? And he criticized previous government. So everything he did there is to convince the audience from the first second. So you see, in previous example, it's a very scientific topic. So in the future, you probably will have a chance to interpret for that very specialized topic. But equally possible is you are likely to interpret for politicians as well. So you need to be very familiar with different styles of language in different speeches. Some are more direct than others.
I'd like to tell you the tale of one of my favorite projects. I think it's one of the most exciting that I'm working on, but I think it's also the simplest. It's a project that has the potential to make a huge impact around the world. It addresses one of the biggest health issues on the planet, the #1 cause of death in children under 5, which is waterborne diseases, diarrhea, malnutrition. No. It's breathing the smoke from indoor cooking fires, acute respiratory infections caused by this. Can you believe that? I find this shocking and somewhat appalling. Can't we make cleaner burning cooking fuels? Can't we make better stoves? How is it that this can lead to over 2 million deaths every year? I know Bill Joy was talking to you about the wonders of carbon nanotubes, so I'm going to talk to you about the wonders of carbon macro tubes, which is charcoal.
did she start it?
As and to interact with the audience
Yeah.
and talk about her own feelings.
So basically, she elaborated on her project. Give very brief information about what she did and why she did it. So it's almost like a summary first, and then I think in the following few minutes we anticipate more elaboration on that. So you can start a speech by briefing what you are going to tell your audience.
Thank you. I'm honored to be with you today for your commencement from one of the finest universities in the world. Truth be told, I never graduated from college, and this is the closest I've ever gotten to a college graduation. Today, I want to tell you 3 stories from my life. That's it. No big deal. Just 3 stories.
Stephen Jobs uses his personal experiences. He said that he will express himself with several stories, not great deal. Actually, he wants to say something about himself, yes, to attract the audience, not the complicated theories.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So speeches are most effective if you can make it easier for your audience to remember. So 3 is a magic number which we'll come back to in our next few lectures.
We see with the eyes, but we see with the brain as well. And seeing with the brain is often called imagination. And we are familiar with the landscapes of our own imagination, our inscapes. We've lived with them all our lives. But there are also hallucinations as well. And hallucinations are completely different. They don't seem to be of our creation. They don't seem to be under control. They seem to come from the outside and to mimic perception. So I'm going to be talking about hallucinations and a particular sort of visual hallucination which I see among my patients. A few months ago I got a phone call from a nursing home where I work. They told me that one of their residents, an old lady in her 90s, was seeing things.
Anecdotes, yeah. So easy. Sorry.
Narrow it down to one kind of hallucination.
Yeah. So I think the idea there is very clear. You define what you are going to talk about, and then you tell a story.
Clearly we're living in a moment of crisis. Arguably the financial markets have failed us and the aid system is failing us. And yet I stand firmly with the optimists who believe that there's probably never been a more exciting moment to be alive because of some of the technologies we've been talking about, because of the resources, the skills, and certainly the surge of talent we're seeing all around the world with a mindset to create
changes. This is very effective as well because she used current affairs, right?
Express her attitude.
And that's her attitude. But use what's happening just now is very important because people know it. People are familiar with what's happening now. So is very effective.
So a big question that we're facing now, and have been for quite a number of years now, are we at risk of a nuclear attack? Now, it's a bigger question that's probably actually more important than that, is the notion of permanently eliminating the possibility of a nuclear attack, eliminating the threat altogether. And
you won't fail to get what he used. Simply two questions. One question and the bigger one. But why people can use questions directly to start a speech? Do you think that will work in every topic? No? Why? Depends.
Like, for example, if I want to persuade the audience that something should be done, and then my question may be like something shouldn't be done. So I think it depends on the situation, on maybe the purpose of the speaker.
Yeah, so the purpose. But maybe the other reason for him to use that approach is because most people, or those people in the audience, know this topic well. For example, nuclear weapon. We all know what nuclear weapon, the threat. So you can compose in a question like that. If you use the same thing for biomedicine or cancer research, protein, maybe that won't work. So you need to consider familiarity.
Probably a lot of you know the story of the two salesmen who went down to Africa in the 1900s. They were sent down to find if there was any opportunity to selling shoes. And they wrote telegrams back to Manchester. And one of them wrote, "Situation hopeless, stop, they don't wear shoes." And the other one wrote, "Glorious opportunity, they don't have any shoes yet." Now, there's a similar situation in the classical music world, because there are some people who think that classical music is dying, and there are some of us who think you ain't seen nothing yet. And rather than go into statistics and trends and tell you about all the orchestras that are closing, and
again, very transparent, he used a story. Last one.
I'm Larry Hurtado. I'm head of the School of Divinity and a member of the Giffords Committee. And it's my pleasure to introduce our Gifford lecturer this evening. Patricia Churchland's Gifford lecture will be entitled Morality and the Mammalian Brain. It's a special pleasure to be able to introduce her this evening. Many years ago, in the late 70s and early 80s, we were on staff together at the University of Manitoba. And she and her husband moved to San Diego in the mid-80s, and then we moved here in the mid-90s. And so it's nice to connect up again. Welcome, a personal welcome to Edinburgh. Patricia Smith Churchland is professor of philosophy in the University of California, San Diego, and an adjunct professor at the Salk Institute. Her research focuses on the interface between neuroscience and philosophy. She explores the impact of scientific developments on our understanding of consciousness, the self, free will, decision-making, ethics, learning, and religion. She is the author of the groundbreaking book Neurophilosophy from 1986, co-author with T.J. Sejnowski of The Computational Brain, 1992, co-author with Paul Churchland of On the Contrary, 1998, and her book Brainwise was published in 2002 by MIT Press. Her current work focuses on morality and the social brain. She has been president of the American Philosophical Association and the Society for Philosophy and Psychology. She won the MacArthur Prize in 1991 and the Rossi Prize in 1998. The lecture this evening will be recorded, and it will be available for viewing online through the university's Gifford website. I now have the pleasure of putting you in the hands of Professor Churchland.
This is clearly not the beginning of a speech, but before the beginning of the speech. The reason that I play this clip is because most interpreters prepare for a speech very well, but not for the background of the speaker. So you need to be very careful about putting your efforts, your time in the preparation. The other reason I play this clip is because I was in the audience. This is in Edinburgh, where I had my PhD. So, with all this, these ways you start a speech. Now, these are not the only ways. You will have other ways, and you will have a combination of different of these to start a speech. Next week, I want everybody to prepare a 1 to 2 minute long passage in English to start your topic by using appropriate text techniques that you saw in those scripts. Now your question is, so what topic? I'm going to show you. I need to mark. In previous years, I used just one topic for everybody to prepare their passage. But this can become very repetitive because people will, have search the same sources, and they will deliver similar speeches. We cannot learn a lot from each other, and they tend to use the same way to start a speech. So from this year, it's different. From this gentleman, and I'm going to show you your topic, and don't hate me. I know that there are 3 who were not here with us today, so I will reserve 1 of the 3 topics for them. So your topic is this. You must have seen this.
No.
Here. Yes.
Yes, but maybe I usually pass without notice.
Yeah. Okay. I'll send these to you, so don't worry. But when you see this picture, or other pictures, you need to decide, first of all, you need to make out what this is, and then decide how you are going to use the speech to tell your audience its significance. Okay?
So I have to choose this picture.
No, you can come up with a title based on what you see, what you get. If you are lucky enough to get a title, then you are lucky. That's yours.
I prefer the picture.
I'm afraid that you don't have choice.
So I choose the picture or this title?
Oh no.
Picture is for you.
Picture is for you. Title is for her.
Picture is more vivid.
You can come up with anything.
Yeah. Okay. Next lady. Lucky you. What is this? Yeah. Tree. It's not just any tree. So while you get this picture, I will upload the slide, the PPT, on the main website, so you can find your own topic. You need to find out what tree this is, right? And what's so special about it. Special enough for you to make a speech. And you need to make a speech in such a way that your audience doesn't fall asleep, and they will enjoy your speech. Yeah, sure. Next one. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Next. That's a lot easier. Espresso. You're not very happy. Repress. Okay, next one. It's not in the 5 swans, it's free house. Free house, okay? Good. Big data. Big data. Big topic. Oh! Yeah, you can decide whether you want to talk about fossil or you want to talk about T-Rex. I mean, it's up to you. What's this? Yeah, I'm more interested in what's inside the coffin than the coffin itself. So it's a mummy.
Okay.
Good luck. So you have 2 minutes to shine. You can use all sorts of sources. I want it to sound as original as possible. Any question?
Yeah. So, for example, I've got the picture. So the topic is about the picture, or I can just use the picture to introduce another topic.
Yeah. You can use the topic to come up with a title. So, the lady who's got a tree picture, you probably want to come up with a more interesting topic than just tree.
Never end.
Yes.
Sure. So that we have to prepare in 1 to 2 minutes. Something, anything, maybe something to introduce our topic.
Yeah, to start your speech.
After that, 1 to 2 minutes.
After that is next week's assignment.
Okay. So the end of this presentation will be like something like a topic I want to bring up is something, and then we stop right there, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can we prepare like a PowerPoint or?
Oh yeah. Sure.
So it's a continuing presentation. We'll have to like this one, the very beginning introduction, and then
after that,
the more following weeks we'll have other things that's related to this topic. Right?
Exactly. So, when you go home today, create a new site. Okay? I know that many of you have not created your own site, but I've shown you that it's very easy to do. So create one. When you create your own site, I will see it. So I will be able to find out who has not. And I will harass you. Okay, that's it for today. I'll see you tomorrow.
Alright, thank you.
Thank you.
So we will deliver our speech next Monday.
Next Monday.
Not tomorrow.
Not tomorrow.
Okay.
No, next Monday. So you got a yoga. ThinkPad yoga, right?
Yes.
Nice. I like that. I like that one. I have ThinkPad.
然后应该是代码，所以你还要再去查代码的实例，那我才会上20种。好的。所以是20种，然后2.9。